Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Classic Gamer 74. I'm your host, Anthony Gamer, and I am Red Dot Fox. And today we're going to continue on with our Homebrew celebration, as we are going to look at games for the Atari 5200 and the Atari 8 computer. Now, as many of you know, the Atari 5200 was not a rip-roaring success. Oh yeah, for several reasons. The biggest one was the hardware. You might say it was a joystick issue. Yep. Among other things, and the collapsing game market didn't help things either. But we're not going to get into that. We have had videos in the past where we've discussed the problems with the Atari 5200. What we're here to talk about today are some of the great homebrew games that were made by some really talented homebrew programmers. Oh yeah, and of course there's some similarities between the 5200 and the Atari 8-bit anyway. Isn't it possible to convert the Atari 8 games and play them on the 5200? Yeah, I think, well, there is, but I am not exactly sure how it is done. But regardless, when they have the Atari Awards, they always have 5200 and Atari 8 together, which is where we got some of the games. Now, if we know who the author of the game is, we will let you know. If we don't, you know, we did research and we tried to find out who everybody was, but we couldn't always. The best place to purchase these games are from the programmers themselves, or you could go to AtariAge.com to click in the store, or join up in the forums and talk directly to the programmers themselves. So, without further ado, let's get started. We got a lot of games to cover. Oh yeah, we sure do. So, let's get into the games. Okay, and our first game for today is Beaks 4. This was made by a gentleman named John Williams, and this is a cool, like, arcade shooter, kind of along the lines of Zerk. I guess you're shooting at these robots, you're trying to get keys, go to different rooms. It's a really fun game. Kind of reminds me of a computer-type game. Oh, definitely, this would definitely be a computer game. Really had a lot of fun playing. It took us a while to get the hang of it, but overall, it's a great game. Okay, next up we have Adventure Ponies by Daniel Blevins. This is obviously a game based on those ponies. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah, we don't want him to get sued. It's a platformer game, kind of a neat game. We couldn't quite figure it out, but, you know, if you're a pony person, you'll love it. Alright, and next up we have Arcadia by Emmerich. Now, this game here, you're trying to shoot these, like, dots. I think it's like a kind of a centipede kind of sort of game before they get down there to the Acropolis. It's a pretty cool shooter game, and one that's definitely really on the addictive side. We really had a lot of fun playing this one. And next up we have Raymaze 2000 by NRV. This is kind of a maze shooter game. You are picking up these pellets, power-ups, and try not to crash into the other ships. Really a fun and addictive game. If you like games where you gotta be really on your toes, you're gonna love this one. Okay, next up we have The Rescue Mission. This is from, I guess, two gentlemen named Retronics and Agenda 2019. In this here game, it's kind of a platformer. This is a demo version, so it's only got the first two levels. We had a lot of fun with it, and I'll tell you what, it's kind of cool. I'd like to see the whole version of it. I can't describe it. It's kind of like sort of a Prince of Persia, Mario, just a really cool platformer game. Give it a try. Alright, next one we have Runner Bear. This was made by New Year Disc 2020. Yeah, it's Bentley Bear and Friends. I'm not a big fan of it. I was never into the whole Bentley Bear, Ice Castles, Frozen Cat, whatever that is. I never was a big fan of it, but it's a platformer, kind of a Adventure Island Mario game. That's about all I can say. Okay, next up we have Scorch 50. We don't exactly know who the programmer is, but if you like that game, Tank Wars, that old PC MS-DOS game, this is pretty much it. So if you're familiar with that game, you pretty much know what you're doing. You get weapons, you try to shoot each other, use the wind and distance, and try to blow your opponent off of the map without doing it to yourself. And next up we have Wasteland. This is from 2019 by Michael Jaskula. It's kind of like I guess a survivor kind of game, but also along the lines of Zelda. Really unique. Definitely a game that, had it been released at its time, it probably would have gone into legendary status. Really enjoyed it. Very imaginative, an A+ game if I've ever seen one. And the next one we got is Anteater, but it's not what you think. Nope, this is not that Atari 2600 award-winning game. This one is different. This one, you take on the role of the ant, and you are trying to get away from the Anteater. You can drop bombs on him, you get points for digging tunnels. Really cool game and really imaginative. Kind of got a dig dug kind of thing going on here. Unfortunately, we don't know who programmed it. We tried to find out and we couldn't. If you know who did, please let us know in the comments section below. But fun game, really liked it. Okay, now some of these here are actually conversions too, where they somehow, I'm not sure if they are actually just doing something to the files or if they're just making their own versions. I don't really know, but what you're looking at here is Atlantis, which was a big hit on the 2600, and so somebody made it available here for the 5200. Graphics are nice. It's Atlantis, what can you say? Alright, as there was not a fully working, complete version of Real Sports Basketball for the 5200, what we have here is a conversion of the 2600 Atari Basketball, and what an amazing job the programmer did. Just a great version, great game. Check it out. Hey, I think we forgot something. Oh, what was that? We forgot to mention the programmers. Oh, yeah. The person who did the, what was that game there? The Atlantis, that was a gentleman using the name Classics. And we don't know who did basketball. But this is Berserk. This is another conversion. It's got the voice. It's as close to the arcade as you're going to get. And definitely what they intended for the 5200 in the first place there. This was done by a gentleman named Ron Colonel. He and Classics do a lot of these conversions. So if you find them there on the Atari H forum, give them a lot of love because they sure deserve it. And next up we have Beef Drop. This was done by Ken Siders, and we discussed this before because he made a version of this for the Atari 7800. And I think you guys can figure out what game this is. No introduction really needed. Dynamite job, Ken. Both the 7800 and the 5200 version of this certain unnamed arcade game. Great job. Okay, and our next game here is Attack of the Mutant Camels. This was done by a gentleman named Jay Leonard. For some reason, this game really makes me think a lot of Solar Fox. It's kind of a grid shooter, and it's loud. Great game. Give it a try. See what you think. Alright, what we have here is E.T. Phone Home. This is kind of, I guess, a better version or, a reimagining of that Atari 2600 game. This one is pretty cool. It's got the same kind of deal. I think in this one you're Elliot trying to pick up the phone pieces there, and you got the FBI agents all over the place. It's kind of neat. I'm not sure if it's actually complete or not, and we don't even know who made it. Yeah, it's got a lot of the elements of the previous game, except for none of them blasted tar pits. So hopefully as we get some more information on this, we'll let you know. Okay, next up we have a game from Phaser Cat. You're going to see their names on a few of these games, and this is Robin Banks. It's an interpretation of Lock and Chase. Many of you probably remember the arcade game and the Atari 2600 game, and it was also on television. In this game, you are a robber trying to go around and pick up these gold bullion, and the police are after you. Luckily, you can what you have at your defense is you can actually put barriers between you and them. You gotta be careful, as sometimes the barriers can actually hurt you, but overall it's a really fun maze game. And next up from Phaser Cat, we have Rat Catcher. Now, you can have up to 3 players play simultaneously on this one. You're in the sewers, you're trying to catch the rats, but look out for those sewer gators. You turn the water on and off, and it's a puzzle platformer. It's pretty much got everything. Really fun and original game. Alright, another cat phaser, as those of you that really enjoyed that Tron Deadly Disc game, especially the Intellivision version, well, they made a version for the 5200 called IntelliDiscs. Yeah, didn't want to get sued. Boy, you can't blame them. So anyway, it's just like in the original game. You are Tron, and you are throwing the discs at these bad guys. Really fun game. Definitely a game that's very addictive. I spent many hours playing this on the Intellivision. Just really enjoyed it. And also let you guys know, we're going to have an episode about Tron games sometime in the near future. It's really hard to believe that this game was not ported out for the 5200. It sure was, but what we're looking at here is another conversion, and this is of that Sega classic Up and Down, where you are driving in that little buggy, trying to collect the flags, jump over your opponents, and trying not to jump into the grass. Pretty fun game, and this is a pretty good port, especially seeing as how really bad the 2600 version was. Okay, and our next one is another conversion. This is Tapper. We don't know who did this one, unfortunately. Now, we know Ken Fuzzed did the last one, Up and Down. Many of you know this game. We did review it on a previous episode, as you're that bartender and you're serving drinks to the patrons. This, of course, is the Mountain Dew version. Yeah, if you ever wanted to play the beer version, the arcade one, you had to do it at a bar, so... Alright, next up we have Satan's Hollow. Now, I'm not sure who did this because it says CBS Software, which of course is long gone, so I don't know if this is a prototype or a homebrew because no credits were given. In Satan's Hollow, it's kind of a fixed space shooter or a horizontal shooter, as you are shooting at the devil's minions and then Satan himself. Pretty fun game, highly addictive, and a very nice port of a really fun arcade game. Alright, and next up we have a classic from across the pond. This is Set Willy. Now, this game was a big hit on the ZX Spectrum, and a gentleman by the name of Terrence Tez Derby brought this out in 2019. If you're not familiar with the game, it's kind of a platformer adventure game. You're this weird millionaire guy, and you're exploring your mansion, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on there. Like I said, this game was a big hit in Europe, and I'm really thankful that Mr. Derby brought this to the 5200. Speaking of a game that was kind of popular over there in Europe, we have Dizzy, the Ultimate Cartoon Adventure. Now, whoever made this version didn't put their names to it. You have Codemasters and those twins that made it back in the day, but if you're pretty familiar with Dizzy, he's... kind of like a British version of Mario. Again, very popular overseas, and these games were ported out to just about every game system and computer system over in the UK. And it's great to see another person convert a UK classic so that US fans can enjoy it. And our final game for today is Real Sports Curling, also from PhaserCat. Word of advice, do not play this game in emulation. Buy the cartridge and play it on a real 5200. It does not work in emulation. It's a beautiful game. It's great to see a curling game and somebody making a real sports game. But again, emulation does not work. You have to actually buy the cart in order to get the full experience. We're going to take a break, I think, from our homebrews for a while. Yeah, exactly. We've pretty much covered every game system that we've discussed in detail, so we're gonna come back, as you know, there definitely are quite a few of them. They're games for the ColecoVision. Oh yeah, we haven't even scratched the surface on that. So in next week's episode, we are going to start our new unit on life simulation games, and what game to better start with than the one that started it all, and that is Little Computer People for the Commodore 64. Well, that brings this episode of Classic Gamer 74 to a close. I really hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, let us know by giving us a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to click that little bell icon down there so you'll be notified when we upload new episodes. Oh yeah, also don't forget to check out our Patreon. We got some cool stuff on there that you're not going to find anywhere else. So It doesn't matter what level of patron you are, you always get access to the same stuff. So please be generous and help us out on Patreon. And don't forget to connect with me on all my social media platforms. I really like to hear from you guys. I've got some great emails over the years, and of course you can always find me on the Atari Age forums. My name on there is Classic Gamer 74. Well, until next time, I'm Anthony Gamer, and I am Red Dog Fox, and we will see you all in the next episode. Until then, be strong, be safe, be happy, be healthy, and above all, take care of each other, be kind to each other, and stop hate of all kinds. See you soon. Bye. Goodbye, everyone.